Okay, so today I'm going head to head with two different 1080p webcams. The first one is probably the most well-known webcam ever made, which is the Logitech C920. The second one is the brand new OBSBOT Meet SE from January 2025. Let's go. All right, so what are we looking at here? So on the left-hand side, I've got the Logitech C920 that was initially offered in 2012. It has a 78-degree field of view. It also shoots at 1080p, 30 frames per second. These days it goes for around $65 to $70. And so on the right-hand side, I've got a brand new camera that just came out, which is the OBSBOT Meet SE. It also has a 78-degree field of view, but the optics are a little bit different. You can tell that in the middle of the frame, like the proportions of my head and everything are a little bit different between the two cameras, even though they are literally sitting right next to each other. It has a 1080p maximum resolution in the OBSBOT Meet SE, but the big thing that sets this one apart is its frame rate. It can shoot at 100 frames per second. So if I do something like this, you'll be able to see, if I put them side by side, what the differences are as I move my fingers and my arms just between the two of them. Again, this one's the OBSBOT Meet SE, and this is the Logitech C920 on the left-hand side. Let me know what you think in terms of the two cameras. These are all the default settings. I didn't change anything between the two. And with OBSBOT Meet SE, there's also a gimbal version of that available called the OBSBOT Tiny SE, which is kind of like the same size as the Tiny 2 Lite, but it's only going for under $100, $99. So you can have actually auto tracking, gimbal, and everything else. I'll do another video that's dedicated to that one, but I really wanted to compare two different cameras that are basically spec for spec pretty similar in terms of price, field of view, maximum resolution, with that big thing that's kind of separating the two of them, which is the frame rate, and also, as you can see, the optics in terms of the color balance, which I tend to prefer in terms of the OBSBOT kind of default color balance. All of these settings are default on this camera, the OBSBOT Meet SE, and the color balance is also default on the Logitech C920, which, for its time, I think in 2012 was pretty good, but what I think it's doing is a full frame metering, so it's actually taking kind of the blue hues and various things in my background. I did turn off like blue RGB lights and those kind of things to give it the best possible chance, but you can see that in terms of skin tones, kind of the exposure levels, everything's a little bit different, not quite as good. Again, 2012 technology versus the OBSBOT Meet SE, in my opinion, which looks a bit more natural and a bit closer to, if I'm looking in the mirror with normal lighting, what I see for myself. So just letting you see the two different cameras. Okay, so one more comparison. I want to do the microphone comparison. This is the Logitech C920's onboard microphone, just so you can hear what that one sounds like from a microphone perspective. So here you're listening to the OBSBOT Meet SE's built-in microphone array, just so you can hear what that sounds like as well, the OBSBOT Meet SE's built-in microphone array. And because somebody will probably ask me is, what does the low light performance look like between the two cameras? Well, this is the Logitech C920 in low light, and this is the OBSBOT Meet SE in low light on the right-hand side. Okay, so now you've seen the comparisons of the footage, the field of view, the resolution, the frame rate, the microphones, the low light performance of all the different cameras and their default settings. But what are my thoughts on both of them? I would say, on balance, the two cameras are both good, but I would, if I had $70, I would spend that $70 on the OBSBOT Meet SE right now. Yes, it is a 13-year newer camera, but it's got better, to me, frame rate. It's got a better default image and color balance. I've tried saving the Logitech C920 before when it produces that kind of pinkish skin tone. And what that does when you take the white balance effectively and move that is that it will make your skin too yellow and you look like a Simpsons character a bit when you move the white balance around. So it's pretty tricky to set up. You have to kind of do that with your lighting setup, and the camera, if it had more of like the RGB or the kind of the cyan, magenta, green, those types of settings, like a mirrorless camera, you could dial it in probably pretty well, but you could see some of the shots also were a bit overexposed on it. I would say for any webcam though, in terms of its microphone, I wouldn't use the built-in microphones for them if you can avoid it. I would say use an inexpensive lavalier mic, for example, and you can pick those up a lot of times for under $20, or use something like a USB, either condenser or dynamic mic. I prefer dynamic mics because I think they sound a bit more clean, podcasty, if that's a word. Like my Shure MV7 in front of me, but I wouldn't recommend the webcam microphones. Usually it's a physics problem because you are 2.5 to 3 feet away from the microphone, which is up to a meter in the metric system. And that's just never going to sound good. Even with a nice boom microphone, a lot of times that won't sound good unless you're in a very dead room, or a shotgun mic. You might have the best chance with that, but you want to be usually as close as possible to the mic. I'm probably 5 inches away from my Shure right now, so I get the best possible quality out of it. But, you know, from a webcam perspective, if you're that far away, it's always going to sound echoey. So hopefully, based on all the different comparisons that I've made with default settings, yes, you can tune some of the settings as well. I didn't show that today, but with the default settings, hopefully you can make up your mind between the two different webcams that you can buy for around the same price, around $70 or so at the moment. Let me know what you think in the comments, and as always, thanks so much for watching.